कुछ पग चलते चिन्हों पर कुछ पग चिन्ह बनाते हैं, जो पग चिन्ह बनाते हैं वही सूरमा वीर पुरुष दुनिया में पूजे जाते हैं। दोस्तों, आज हम बात करने जा रहे हैं टॉपर, यूपीएससी सिविल सर्विसेज 2022 टॉपर इन बॉयज कैटेगरी, Dr. Mayur Hazarika. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
So, Dr. Mayur Hazarika has secured All India Rank 5 in UPSC Civil Services 2022. So, he is the topper in boys category and it was his first attempt. This is what makes him different than the others, first attempt. If you see the list of all the top rankers, you will find rank 5 who has cracked in first attempt. Today we would like to know what was his strategy of the preparation, how he started and when he started, what was early stages of his studies, sources of his study, the method of the study, planning, routine, and how he cracked this examination, what to do, what not to do in the last stage of the examination. So, Dr. Mayur comes from the Tezpur district, Assam, and he is MBBS. He completed his graduation in 2020. After graduation, MBBS, then he started working, and during the COVID time, he has been working for the COVID patients. It was a tough, challenging period, and he continued his studies as well. He joined live online classroom course for the general studies and CSET, and let us have discussion with the Mayur. So Mayur, my first question is that you come from the northeast state where the preparation is not that passion of students because the environment of study is not meant for UPSC. So it was tough for you to start. How you started?
Okay, so the initial stages I got exposure to the idea of UPSC back in 2013 when I was in class 10. And I saw a few of the toppers of that year who were felicitated, and that initially gave me the idea that maybe I should try this. But back then there was not proper availability of guidance here. There was none I knew who could actually tell me how many stages are there in the exam. And there was also not availability of internet as well. Back then it was not so easily available. And so because of lack of guidance and a number of other factors, I then joined medical science. And then during MBBS period, while I was in third year or fourth year, that initial urge that I wanted to, or the inclination to go for civil services, that started to re-emerge, and I thought that I should probably give an attempt, and thus I gave this attempt.
So, first attempt, rank 5, how is feeling?
It's kind of like a dream. I was, while waking up this morning, I was thinking that hopefully when I wake up, this does not turn out to be a dream.
One very interesting thing which I find, your father is engineer, your mother is housewife, and you are doctor.
Yes.
And all three are, how this chemistry, and you decided to go for MBBS. And now after selection in UPSC, you are interested to go for the Indian Foreign Service rather than IAS.
Yes. Yes, so I have made, it seems that varied career choices throughout my life. And yes, it seems so, but I believe that a person is molded by the experiences that he undergoes, and his decisions are framed by it. So during my course of this experience that I have gone through my life so far, I then developed an urge or interest in foreign diplomacy.
So you are differently planned person. Unique aim, unique method, and do something different which the others are not doing. Great. So coming from Assam, it must be a proud moment, and for the entire northeastern states, and in fact for the entire country. Everyone is proud on you because you are the highest scorer among the boys and you got the rank 5. And so when you planned and when you started preparation, what was your first step to begin?
Okay, so I started my preparation at a very cursory level, not going into very deep, and just knowing the syllabus, getting acquainted with the basic resources. I started here in the last year of my medical in the MBBS graduation period. And from that period, I started reading the few basic books like Lakshmikant, and at that time I was studying Spectrum. Eventually I left Spectrum, but anyways, so those basic books that I initially started reading on my own. And during the period of, towards the ending part of my internship period, I thought that there were certain subjects in which I will require guidance, like economics, science and tech. Those are very dynamic subjects.
Subjects.
Yes. So thus, and since my situation was such that I had to go for rural service. So it was clear to me that I will not be probably going to Delhi, and so I decided that I'll be joining the online classes of Next IAS.
So live online class you decided to join. Let us talk about the experiences of classes. So what was your experience? Which subject fascinated you?
Okay, so with the online classes, the subjects that I mostly relied on for the classes, it was economics, science and tech, and art and culture. These three were the subjects where I totally relied on
Classes.
the classes, yes. And I revised all those notes that were provided and the teachings that were given in the classes so many times. Like art and culture, I remember Rahul Sengar sir's note I revised for like more than 10-15 times. So and then economics, Vivas sir is not just only economics, he has showed me so much about life itself.
He is encyclopedia of economics.
Yes, definitely. That economics part is definitely non-negotiable. But besides that, he also showed us to be. I was not such a very optimistic person before, but while doing his classes, I became very optimistic about life. He gave us, while doing classes, he gave few lessons here and there of life, like 5 minutes or so in between classes, and so does that how privileged we are actually. First, we need to accept that we are privileged to be in this position taking these classes, and to accept the privilege helps us value our privilege and to work hard more. And besides that, science and tech, very dynamic subject, so totally relied on what IAS class was there.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Great. Now coming to the prelims examination, for the prelims 2023 also few days are left. Students are very much worried, they are stressed, and what are those tricks which can be used to handle this examination in best way in last moment? What tips you would like to share?
Okay, so in the last stages, what I would say that there is no need to panic if there is some topic left. There is absolutely no time to go for any new topics at the moment. What they can do is that they should revise whatever they have already studied, like fast revision, do as much as fast revision as possible. Because I remember the day before I went for prelims, just 2 days before the prelims, I started revising all the subjects and finished all the subjects in 2 days revision. So I think revision, one last quick revision is very important to brush up all those volatile things that are present in different subjects. And thirdly, while attempting the questions, be very smart about which questions you are attempting. Like don't take high risk, too much of risk because of the negative markings as well. And lastly, all the best to all those who are appearing this year.
So 2 hours of the exam are supposed to be well managed.
Yes.
No error.
Yes.
No silly mistakes.
Yes.
So my question is that in last moment of examination, when 2 hours you are writing, what will be right attempt for these students? Because the cutoff is near about 88 for this year, 2022, your exam. So how much you suggest for students this will be a right attempt?
Okay, so normally I think that fixing a proper number that I will be attempting this many questions is not the right approach to go to. I think that what number of questions that one is attempting should be decided on that day itself, and based on the question and the difficulty level of the question. And for example, in my case, what I was thinking before going into prelims was that I'll be attempting around 80 to 85 of the questions. But I ended up attempting around 71 questions because I was almost sure, 80% sure with around 50-55 questions. So there was no point taking high risk in this scenario. So I think that one should focus more on accuracy rather than a fixed number of questions that one should be going to.
And attempt will depend on the difficulty level of question paper.
Yes.
And accuracy, as you said, very important. Correct. After the prelims is over, the actual journey starts for the mains.
Yes.
So what steps you followed and what you would like to suggest to students?
Okay, so my basic resources were the same whatever I used because the preparation was integrated. It was not like I'm preparing for prelims now and then after prelims I'll be going for mains. The resources were basically same, but after prelims what I did was that I went on for value addition on all the subjects. For example, with GS3, which is economics and internal security and all those subjects, what I focused more was on statistics. So lots of statistics data that I memorized during that period, and GS2, lots of law cases, case studies, and such type of value addition is very important, I think, because my basic objective was that whatever point I am giving, I need to substantiate it with some presentable idea. Like if I'm saying that India's logistics cost is high, then immediately I gave a data that the logistics cost is this much and our aim is to go for this much. So this type of data is very important.
Many students are very much worried about the answer writing.
Yes.
And for you, it was your first attempt. And in the first attempt itself, you have scored well.
Yes.
And so what your experience says, whether the students should practice, rehearse a lot many questions, or they should follow your approach?
Okay, so my approach, as I was actually working, so I had a lot of time crunch with me. So I would not recommend my approach to anybody because I did not have time to give a lot of mains mock test. I just gave 3 or 4 and that too only half length and not even full length. And I would not recommend that, strictly not recommended. But what I did was that I went for a lot of analysis of model answers or mains answers, toppers mains answer sheets and all. And that actually gave me an idea of how to write the answer. So instead of actually writing those answers, since I had a lack of time, once again saying not recommended at all, but since I had that lack of time, so what I did was that I figured out in my brain itself that this is the mind map that I will be following. If such type of question comes, then this is how I will be writing these questions.
What I find interesting in your story that you was working. Along with the job, you started preparation. You attended the live online classes. And you had limited time to study. You could not get time for rehearsal, practice. Still you did. Something must be which struck well and led to your achieving this highest rank. Have you gauged what is that strength?
I think the basic thing is revision. I think whenever I am discussing with some other students, what they say is that I say a lot of facts. Like statistically, whatever any topic, one was saying that it seems like you've got pictographic memory. Like whatever you are seeing exact numbers of whatever things you are taking. I don't know whether, I don't think I have that type of memory, but what I did was I revised so many times that it became almost like knowing that how many colors, what are the colors in rainbow. So I revised so many times. Like Lakshmikant, I revised around more than 30 times. So I think revision was the key. Revision helped build such a foundation on which I could easily build on it and add value to those.
People used to make the short notes for the last moment revision.
Yes.
Did you make?
Short note, yes, kind of, I made. But once again, not the conventional short notes type of thing. What I did was that I wrote in a question answers format whatever thing were most volatile. Like whatever value addition that I wanted to do. For example, let's just say that what is the female labor participation rate. So I wrote in a question answer format, female labor participation rate question mark. So I used to, while revising, I used to cover the answer and then I used to recall. So I relied a lot more on active recall during that short note period also, even before mains.
So short notes have importance and
Yes,
that has to be done in a
definitely.
tricky way.
Yes.
Usually what happens is students become very conscious or stressed during the stage of the interview. And for everyone, interview is a final stage. It has to be taken seriously. What was your approach for interview?
Yes. So since I was staying in Assam during this whole period, my fluency in English as well as Hindi was low, very low. And so I decided just
But
after...
I find you are very fluent in English.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. That I used to speak in English. I studied in an English medium school, but during the medical period and as well as during 11-12, that fluency was gone. I was not speaking in English. So after the mains result, immediately I decided that I should go to Delhi and probably come with terms that I have to start speaking in Hindi and English at the right moment so that I get fluent by the time I get into interview. So I went there, gave a number of mocks, and I was lucky enough that my interview was in a very late stage. This time the interview was held in 3 phases, 1,
Right.
2 and 3, and so I was in the 3rd phase. So lots of mocks given. I think I gave around like 8-9 mocks and 2-3 one-on-ones, and that helped me gain fluency in English as well. And also looking at the topics in a more critical way. The questions that were asked during the mocks, they helped me build up or look into the topics in different manners from different angles and coming up with answers, appropriate answers. Because in interview, the answers need to be said in a manner which is presentable as well. one cannot be very blunt with their answers.
So I'll ask 3 questions related to the next IAS. One is, during your classes, when you used to study live online classes, how you made notes? Because this is a real challenge for the students who are learning live online. They are attending classes, but how to make notes? So what was your approach first, and how next IAS helped you in that?
Okay, so I would say I think it has become imperative by now that I had constraint of time. So I was not exactly making notes, but I was lucky enough that Rahul Sengar sir, Aya sir, they gave ready-made notes. So the notes were already available. So I just printed them out, bought a printer at home, printed those notes, and I revised them. And whenever I came across something new, be it in news, be it in current affairs, I used to add it on that note itself. Because there was definitely there will be a static topic that will be related to that current thing, what is happening. So what I did is that I went to that static topic, put up a sticky note, and just added it whatever the current affairs was there. And if I had to add on a more exhaustive basis, then I added pages on that note itself that was provided by Next IAS.
Right. In fact, all the teachers in Next IAS team are exceptional.
Yes.
Which books you found very useful to you, Next IAS books?
Yes. So as I had said, the notes are already available in lots of subjects like economics, science and tech, and
Geography.
Geography. Yes, geography definitely. Sikandar sir, he is like the most hardworking person I have ever seen in Next IAS. So his notes are very exhaustive. Sikandar sir notes. And besides that, one particular thing that I have been recommending to a lot of my whoever is asking me is with respect to ethics. Ethics notebook that is provided by Next IAS is like near one-stop solution with respect to ethics. Obviously, you need to add with lots of anecdotes and current affairs, but that is what a candidate needs to give on from his side. The best that a coaching institute can provide, that is being provided with respect to ethics by Next IAS in its module.
And your journey has been from first stage to last stage with the Next IAS, pre-com, mains, GS, CSAT, then interview. So how interview program helped you, and what was your approach from the Next IAS program?
Okay, so with interview, it was almost like I was also discussing with my friends even while I was preparing for interview that Next IAS interview program is the most wholesome that is available. Like proper hand holding was there, starting with the initial guidance. Since this was my first attempt, I had no idea how the interview process actually works. There was orientation program by Vasi sir as well, honorable, and he gave the idea how the interview process actually goes on. There was DAF filling session by Gaurav Seni sir. That was the first class which I attended with respect to interview. And after that, even with those, after that, those current affairs related videos were being uploaded. Ruchika ma'am, she always came up with current affairs. I remember myself saying on the group that, ma'am, will you please upload one more video? And then ma'am eventually did end up. And because I was in the phase 3 and by that time only few candidates were remaining, but ma'am, even though only few candidates were remaining, ma'am was kind enough to give a proper update on that. So
she used to do.
Help. Yes.
Supported.
Yes.
And then
the booklet was there in which there were proper questions. I framed answers to those questions.
Now, coming to your hobbies, your hobby is playing football and solving a Rubik's Cube. So, how this hobby helped you during the interview or during your preparation?
Okay, so it was football is kind of like my stress buster thing, and it would not be a lie if I say that half of my life revolves around football on a daily basis. Because every morning I wake up and immediately...
Really?
Yes.
Great. So you were working, it was your first attempt, you were preparing and you are watching football.
Yeah. There were nights like almost...
Impressed. I'm impressed.
Saturday,
really.
Sunday, I used to watch matches like till 3:30 in the morning and then go to duty at 9 a.m.
So you saw entire FIFA?
Yes, FIFA. By that time, the mains were already out and I was Argentina supporter. So that 18 December is definitely great.
And finally, team won, eh?
Yes.
Dream came true. So were you expecting this high rank, top 5 and that too in first attempt?
No. Still, it feels like a dream, and but I think blessings of God as well as my seniors and elders' guidance and efforts did contribute to this, and I'm just feeling exceptionally blessed and thankful that eventually I reached this stage.
Great. I'll take up one question related to your optional.
Yes.
You was MBBS medical. You are a doctor. So you decided to go for anthropology,
Yes.
which was altogether a new subject.
Yes, yes.
So how you decided for this subject and how you prepared for it?
Okay, so I actually started with, I thought that I'll be taking medical science, and when I was in MBBS itself, I thought that maybe I'll take up medical science. But there are a number of issues with medical science. One was that the syllabus is pretty vast. And secondly, since I knew that I'll be working, so it will be probably difficult to manage that as well. Secondly, the other thing was that actually wanted to, the availability of resources is also another thing. The anthropology resources are relatively easily available rather than medical science. And also this medical science has a lot of parallels with the physical anthropology part of anthropology. And it was almost like very easy for me to comprehend whatever was being discussed in, and I prepared it myself, not discussed, like whatever was actually written in physical anthropology. It was very easy to comprehend and to make up the links.
Great. So friends, preparation for UPSC has to be done religiously, and there is no constraint. Even if you are in job, working, it can be done, and there is a perfect example with us. He is a doctor. He has been working during the COVID period, worked for the patients, and along with that prepared. He took the live online classes, and that is how he did it in first attempt itself. So nothing is impossible and nothing is difficult. What matters is your self-commitment, self-dedication, your perseverance, and something which is required for examination, you have to plan and prepare in that direction. This examination is very different from the other exams. It requires a consistent effort. And how many hours in a day you feel would be sufficient if a student starts from scratch?
Okay, so as in my case, I was actually working before the pre. After pre, my contract was over with the services. So before the pre, I was studying for around 4 or 5 hours a day, and before 1 month before pre, maybe I pushed it till 6 hours a day, because after that, however, after pre, I actually went for around 9 to 10 hours a day. But I don't think that the number of hours actually counts. What actually important is that the number of productive hours that one is giving.
Exactly.
A dedicated 7 to 8 hours, I think, is good enough.
Right. So when you appeared in mains examination, something which strike to the UPSC, gave good marks, anything which you can gauge, if you do this thing, this could be a better for you?
Just I had mentioned, I think what worked out for me was that my strategy was facts. Yes, like if I'm saying something, I need to substantiate it with something, not just stating any statement, but actually proving it with some statistics or some proper examples, or giving some stories that are actually real or facts. So that was my strategy.
Although you are hero for the entire India, but especially you are hero for the states of Northeast India. So Northeastern states, what message you would like to give to the aspirants, what they should go ahead?
Okay.
They can follow you, and if they want to be connected with you, do you have any social media platforms, your social tags, where they can interact you, they can learn from you?
Yes, yes. So definitely message, the first would be that have self-confidence, believe that you can do this, it's not impossible. Secondly, once you have fixed your target, develop that mental resilience that you will be going through it. And thirdly, while working, you should also work a little bit smartly. You have to know what you need to study, and at the same time what you need to avoid. And fourthly, what I would say that is that if you want to connect with me, I have not actually developed a dedicated channel or handle through which I'll be communicating. I have not got the time so far, but I will definitely develop it, and if they want some guidance, I'll definitely be available.
It will be very helpful to the aspirants.
Yes.
And they can be in touch with you, and you can share your strategy, the way you prepared, you can guide them. And if Telegram group or some other social media group you can form, and if you can share with these students, it will be great.
Yes, yes. I will be actually, I was thinking about forming a Telegram group, but have not got the time so far, but I will definitely be going for one.
And my last question of the day is, in totality, how you see next IAS has come up in your preparation, and how it was helpful to you, and what fascinated you in next IAS?
Okay, so firstly is that I was involved with Next IAS during the pre-stage as well as mains as an interview stage. And as I have already said, interview level, Next IAS is the most wholesome package that they can get, any candidate can get. Pre-wise, their material is very good. And the teachers are also very dedicated, and they go for... I was in also almost constant touch with Rahul Sankar sir as my...
As a personal mentor.
Almost, yes. I even discussed my DAF with sir. So very approachable faculty members, and I just believe that guidance is actually required. I even before I joined Next IAS, I actually had to go for a lot of trial and error on my own, because I had actually, as I have already said, that I started almost around final year. So a lot of the subjects like polity and modern Indian history, I had actually started doing on my own. But those dynamic subjects are the ones where the guidance is actually required.
So thank you very much, and many congratulations to you and to your family, and may God keep you smiling whole life, keep working for the nation, let the nation shine, and you take the leadership role in the nation, and you represent India because you have opted for the Indian Foreign Services and you represent India in global world. So many congratulations, and this is a small memento from the Next IAS.
Thank you, sir.
And we wish you all the best to you and to your family again and again.
Okay, thank you, sir.